For the artist, there is only one true devil, and that devil may have destroyed NaNoWriMo. We're going to talk about that and more on today's episode of the Geek Watch podcast.
This is the Geek Watch podcast with Brian Hatcher and Mandy Petry.
Greetings, Geek Watchers, and welcome to episode 227 of the Geek Watch podcast. I'm Brian Hatcher, and with me, as always, Geek Watch's very own resident geek goddess, Mandy Petry.
Hello, Brian.
So right now, we are in the midst of just preparing for some great stuff that's coming.
Yeah, the calm before the storm.
I am planning this weekend becoming very much like the home world of Ford Prefect and being within the vicinity of Beetlejuice.
Yes.
That is my plan. I've got some extra plans tied into that I will talk about next week when we talk about the movie.
Excellent.
I did want to talk to you about this trailer that landed for the Minecraft movie.
I saw that. It's a little tiny teaser trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know my nibblings played the game as children. They might still, they're all in their 20s now. That's really all I knew about it, and I know there are big names in it.
Yeah, Jack Black is in it.
Yeah, that's
Jason
really all I
Momoa.
got. I'm sure they're like great Easter eggs for all the Minecraftians. Do they have a name? Whovians or something? Do the
I don't know if they do or not.
they should crafters? I don't know. They
Well,
should.
you would think miners, but
Miners, yeah.
I mean, a lot of miners do play this
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
and there have been a lot of Minecraft channels on YouTube. They're not as popular as they used to be, but you still see them every once in a while. But of course, the one thing about Minecraft people remember is that everything's made out of blocks. And so, except for our, I guess, 5 live-action actors that are in this movie, everything is CG'd and squared off, which makes everything look really freaking weird. Besides that, this is like the first time I'm hearing about this.
I figured it was on its way. We've got an emoji movie. We got a Lego movie. We've got an emoji movie. We've got Battleship. You can't recapture Clue. You just can't do it.
Just trying to recast Tim Curry alone would be a harrowing adventure that I wouldn't even want to try. And, of course, Hasbro is too busy basically screwing up their own properties at this point. Once again, they've gone after D&D.
Oh, what now?
Well, the new edition, that's not a new edition. It's just an update of the 2014 edition.
Not enough people are buying books. Is that what's going on? And
Well-
so we have to change it just a little bit.
Here's the issue. And this is the issue that Hasbro has always had with D&D. It goes back to D&D Beyond, the online component of D&D, which they've been trying to push down people's throats for a while now. Because when you buy a book, you don't have to rebuy the book. And one of the joys of video games, if you produce them, not if you play them, but if you make video games, is all this is downloadable content.
Upgrades.
You remember we talking about D&D Beyond and the problems they were running into before, how Hasbro was trying to push this idea of being able to buy stuff to play in the tabletop game online and being able to buy levels to your character from them instead of earning all that in-game. And of course, if you're a DM trying to run a game, that's a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
But they were trying to gamify D&D in a way it shouldn't have been gamified. And they wound up having to back away from that. But again, Hasbro's like, how can we make more money? Well, let's do an update that's not an update. Let's do a 2024 version of D&D that's different. But hey, it's just an update. We're just doing rules clarifications. Although
Good grief.
Except they're changing a bunch of stuff, and they made the rule book a brick at this point if you buy the physical copy of the rule book, which they're counting on people not doing. They're counting on you having D&D Beyond, where you have access to the digital copy of the book for as long as you keep paying for the service. That's what they want. But as much as they were trying to say that 2024 D&D is not that much different from 2014 D&D, we're not taking your 2014 D&D away, they did, in fact, change all the 2014 character sheets that people had saved to D&D Beyond to the new 2024 version without telling anybody that they did it. You couldn't use any of the 2014 books. Those were taken offline. They basically forced you, if you were generating characters using D&D Beyond, to use the 2024. Now, again, they've had to back away from that, and they had to convert all the sheets back to the 2014 versions, which people have now proceeded to download, save, and cancel their memberships to D&D Beyond. Because of course they would.
Yeah. And not if you're going to do this to us again. We got enough. We can homebrew from now on. And I get it. I would.
Honestly, it comes down to this idea that Hasbro trying to squeeze as much money as they can out of the gamer, whether it's D&D Beyond or having a new edition of Magic the Gathering every 4 months or so. There comes a point where you can't keep milking that cow. You've got to give people a break. And the fact they've pushed D&D Beyond so hard, which, again, it's great to have tools to facilitate certain parts of gameplay, like being able to have a digital way of creating a character sheet that makes things a little bit easier. Yeah, I can appreciate that. Although I have to admit, there's a lot of fun in getting together to make your character sheets. But at the same time, to have D&D Beyond as something that's going to try to take over everything, read the room, dude. Read the room. Speaking of reading the room, let's talk about the artist's most insidious devil, which is AI.
Ah, okay.
Once again, AI has wielded its terrible head into something that may have destroyed what has started to become an institution in writing, which is NaNoWriMo, which is the National Novel Writers Month.
Oh.
It started out as a challenge, write 50,000 words in 30 days. And so 50,000 words, if it's not a complete novel, it's at least the start of one. And that's been going on for many years. And some people have their different ideas about this and their own opinions. And they've run into some problems with the past with their message boards and them not being the safest place for young people. We'll just leave it at that. Google is a thing. If you really want to go down that horrid rabbit hole, it's available for you. But they decided this week to post their beliefs on AI, that AI is a writer's tool and writers should be able to use AI. And if you have a problem with writers using AI, you are ableist, because sometimes people need AI. And that went over as well as you might think in the writers community, because with the writers community, you can't even really talk about AI. You walk into a group of writers and go, hey, I was working on this idea for a short story. And they're like, you said AI. What?
Cut out his tongue.
And I understand that there are levels to this. There are writers' tools like ProWriting Aid and AutoCrit that use AI, not necessarily to write something for you, but to help you edit it. And I can appreciate that as a tool. And sometimes, like in the case of AutoCrit, you can take online classes to become a better writer, which is a great idea, especially when you're basically an AI, and writers hate AIs mostly. So putting out positive stuff in the world for writers, that's a plus. But even then, there are places where these tools toe the line if they don't necessarily cross the line. Because AutoCrit, if you're writing something and you don't know where the story goes next, it uses its AI to tell you, how about this, or how about this, or how about this? So it's not necessarily writing something for you, but it's telling you what
prompt, maybe?
Yeah, it's giving you prompts.
Okay.
To some degree, yeah, it can even start writing a chapter for you. So where do you draw the line, right? There are a lot of writers who say if you use AI for anything, forget
cheating.
it. You're cheating, exactly. And I can see the ability of using an AI tool responsibly and it being useful. I feel there's a line there, and I don't think everybody agrees where that line is. But the fact that NaNoWriMo said, hey, any use of AI in writing we're okay with, was pushing their luck. And within a day or two of them publishing this, they started losing sponsors.
Oh.
People who are on the board just quit.
Did they get canceled?
Canceled is, I guess, one way of putting it. But yeah, I would be very surprised if they continue as an organization from this point forward. It was that ugly. In the writing community, having an opinion about AI can get you in trouble. There were people who were upset about AI and said some things about NaNoWriMo that kind of got them in trouble as well. So it was like, regardless of what side of the debate you were on, talking about what your opinion on AI was, it tends to get you into trouble. I've hinted around about certain things about AI that have gotten me into trouble. It's almost impossible to talk about AI without stirring the pot somewhere and getting somebody ticked off about it. I guess my suggestion in this situation, the moral of the story is talk about politics or religion instead. Stay out of trouble. Just try to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, stay away from those hot button topics like AI.
Something completely uncontroversial. In a couple of weeks, we're getting the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along.
Yes! Yay! Can't wait to see what you got for us, Disney.
Yeah,
Come on.
it will be interesting. Although, again, why can't people have fun anymore? Because there are people that they're just waiting for this show to crash and burn.
Mm-hmm.
They're already writing their bad reviews about it.
Just waiting to hit enter.
And regardless of what the show does, they're going to hit enter anyway because to their mind, it will have done it already, so it doesn't matter. It could do great numbers in the ratings, and that's not going to matter because, again, it's woke Disney doing a TV show about a bunch of chicks, and who wants to watch that?
No one wants to watch a show about witches in a superhero world, and you know, no one see that.
Well, I am finding interesting about this is a show about witches, not women who do magic. Witches.
Yeah.
One thing people have noticed about Agatha's brooch from WandaVision, of course, is it has the 3 on it.
Oh.
Maiden Mother Crone, which is referenced in the song that they sang about Maiden Mother and Crone. Not that witchcraft is anything that either of us would know anything about or have any
I have no idea what you're talking about. No.
But they're really leaning in on the Wiccan side of things. Hint, hint. But to the degree that I understand that the press kits came with little herbal sachets with it.
Oh,
so,
I love it.
Again, they're leaning into it. The question's going to be, is it going to be a miracle or is this witch cursed? I guess, But I am going to say that it's weird to me. I was looking over the list of stuff that's coming up. And for some strange reason, I feel more excited about a lot of the remake stuff. Well, not necessarily the remake, but a lot of the reissues of things that are coming out. Mm-hmm. And I realize that some people might be hearing this and going, yeah, no kidding, Grandpa. But there are a lot of just really interesting things that are popping up. They're doing a re-release of one of my favorite animes, Ninja Scroll, which is coming to the big screen. I'm looking forward to that. There's a documentary on Christopher Reeve that's coming up.
I have seen stuff about that.
Yeah. Watch the Jim Henson documentary on Disney Plus and cry, and then go to the theater and watch the Christopher Reeve one and cry. Just get that out of your system. Again, I feel like Hollywood has gotten to that place where they're really just tied into a lot of remake stuff, trying to find...
I mean, even we're getting the Saturday Night Live movie.
Yeah, we're getting the Saturday Night.
That's even, it's not a reboot or anything, but we're getting a biopic.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about that. We're getting Lorne Michaels and Jim Henson. So I'm excited to see that. And that's a bit of nostalgia for us as well.
So up to the end of the year, is there anything you can think of? I know you don't. You tend to wait for movies to come out on streaming, but you don't tend to go to a lot of movies, which I get.
Yep. Especially since we the Tuesday Night Movie Club. We lost our local movie theater, so heartbroken about that.
Yeah. But let me ask you, is there something coming out this year you can think of that you're just absolutely excited about?
I'm not for certain.
Is there anything you could think of that would make you come back to the theater? Something that you were just like, oh, I've got to see this in the theater.
I'm really not sure, Brian. I'm sorry. I can't think of anything at the moment. Maybe once I see it again, or if I see a trailer, then I'll be like, oh, yes, that's the one. That's the one that I've been waiting on.
Yeah, see that? And again, that goes back to my mind, a problem that Hollywood has had is that their marketing is really screwy, because there at least should be something that's front of your mind, but Hollywood hasn't figured out how to tap that in. And I feel like, I can be very fanatical and crazed and fanboy about certain things. Can't help it. I don't think most people are that way. And the idea is, how do you keep people front of mind and keep people excited about it, whatever it is? I think it would be easier. I'll say this. It would be easier if Hollywood could figure out, okay, this is where we need to put our money. This is the project people are going to really be excited about. Let's advertise huge on it. But they don't know. I tend to forget about movies that are coming out. And
Oh, absolutely.
so it's every once in a while, an advertisement will come out and you'll be like, oh, that's right. They are doing
Yes,
part one of
I had
Wicked.
forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah, they are doing part one of Wicked this
Right.
year, aren't they? Yeah, they are doing the sequel to Moana.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that's right. We are getting for Christmas Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely stuff out there that people want to see, but how does Hollywood keep it front of mind? They can't do that for everything. Obviously, for some situations, advertising it is not going to be helpful because people don't want to go see it. I don't think if you'd have spent $500 million more on advertising, that Borderlands would have done that much better.
Mm-mm.
That's becoming an issue because Hollywood, I think, here it goes. I'm going to continue to beat this dead horse because it's the horse I rode in on. It goes back to where it always goes, and that's story. Trailers need to tell a story that will get people excited about the movie. Now, they can't reveal too much, but they need to get people excited, and they need to be able to tell a story. And that story is, why do I want to go to the movie theater and see this movie?
Mm-hmm.
That's the story they need to learn how to tell. But it's, again, I feel like Hollywood somehow has lost the plot when it comes to storytelling. And if you can't tell a story in 30 seconds or a minute in a trailer that gets people at least to a place where, oh my God, I have to see this movie, then how are you going to maintain that for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours plus on a movie screen? I keep saying it, but I feel like it's true. It's storytelling. Hollywood needs to get back to storytelling again and figuring that out. And I feel like all the other problems they feel like that they have, I think the cure for all of it is storytelling.
Maybe they could go back to ancient storytelling like Netflix has.
Or A23, I feel like they
it's
do a really good A23. Well, I mean, there have been some things Netflix has been able to do.
I was thinking along the lines of Chaos.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Now,
They've taken really ancient, the oldest stories on Earth.
Right.
And taken it.
Now, I haven't started watching it yet. I am excited to see it. Now, you have
I
started
have.
watching.
Yes, I've started watching it.
Okay. So, avoiding the spoilers.
Okay.
What do you think so far?
Now, I'm trying to, but I do have my geek colored glasses on, and I love Greek mythology. So, of course, I love it. I do. I love it. It is Greek mythology set in modern day, and they have done that fantastically. Jeff Goldblum as Zeus, great job. Billie Piper as Cassandra. Eddie Izzard is one of the Fates. They've done such a good job. The Amazons are in it, and where they have them and their camp set up, but it's still in modern day. It's really interesting how they've brought things into modern day and where the muses are and the children of the gods. And whenever you're in the underworld, everything is black and white. Whenever you're in the real world, everything's in color. I am thoroughly enjoying it, and I do believe that you will enjoy it as well. And try not to get too spoilery, but you can see each of the myths and how they interconnect. And I think they've done a very excellent job of taking these older stories and setting them in modern times. And the only time that I've really seen that done, Brian, is in romance novels. I've seen a couple of romance novels where people will set like Persephone and Hades up in modern times where they fall in love, and it's interesting to get to see that in a visual medium. I am definitely excited about it, and I can't wait to finish it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I can definitely think of some places where mythology has been used in a modern setting. Unfortunately, most of them have been written by someone that turned out to be an asshole. Unfortunately, we know who we're talking about.
Okay.
I will also point out in the early part of the 80s, we had a very classic, wonderful musical called
that's
Xanadu.
right. Xanadu, yes.
With Olivia Newton-John
With
is one of the muses.
where all the muses come to life. Yes, that's
which
correct.
I remember when that was on HBO and I watched
Right.
it all the
Well,
time.
if it became a cult hit, and if it didn't become a cult hit, it wouldn't have become a Broadway musical.
Right.
Which also led us to Hadestown.
Yeah.
Which, while not set in our modern day, was an updated version of the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. And you're right, it all goes back to storytelling. And sometimes maybe you need to borrow from those oldest stories, which really are hero, obstacle, goal. They get their goal, happy ending, comedy. They don't get their goal, sad ending, tragedy. I think you might be right.
One of my mentors in mentalism, Max Maven, the way he broke it down, he said how a performer on stage needs to present themselves is they need to be able to answer 3 questions. Who are you? What are you doing? And why should anyone care? And at the very least, a trailer needs to be able to answer those questions. And a trailer also needs to put a question in people's heads. I feel like the best trailers do that. They leave the viewer with a question, which is what happens next? Oh my God, I've got to hop in my car and go to the theater, buy an expensive movie ticket, buy expensive popcorn, and sit in a theater and see what happens. I have to know. I just have to know.
Yep.
And if you can't do that in a minute and a half in a trailer, how are you going to do that during an entire movie?
Mm.
Is this a lesson that they're going to be able to learn? Well, I guess we'll see.
We shall see.
And with that said, we come to the end of episode 227. Thank you for listening, and tune in next time for the latest in geek news and views with the Geek Watch podcast. For Mandy Petry, this is Brian Hatcher, reminding all the Geek Watchers out there, we're all geeky about something. Be proud of yours. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Geek Watch podcast. If you enjoyed this program, don't forget to like and subscribe on your preferred platform and share this podcast on your social media. For links to all the ways you can listen to the Geek Watch podcast, as well as leave comments and suggestions, visit our website at geekwatch.net. The Geek Watch podcast is a Hanging J production.